NAC. Between alcohol, processed food, and just existing, your liver gets overwhelmed. NAC restores glutathione, so it can keep up. Every chemical that enters your body has to be processed and neutralized, and it does that with glutathione. Glutathione binds to toxins and clears them out before they damage your cells. The problem is simple. You're burning through glutathione faster than your body can replace it. NAC is the raw material your body uses to make glutathione. More NAC means more glutathione, which means more capacity to clear what's building up. The real damage happens inside the cell, where oxidative stress takes hold. Glutathione gets there first and shuts it down before it spreads. But NAC only helps if you're already running low. If your levels are sufficient, extra won't add extra benefit. That's why it's most effective for people who've hammered their livers with alcohol, chronic stress, or years of processed food, the people most likely to be depleted in the first place. But restoring glutathione only fixes half the problem, because your immune system is actively destroying what you just rebuilt. Curcumin. Inflammation sounds vague, until you realize it's one of the main reasons liver damage keeps progressing. This is where that loop gets interrupted. Chronic inflammation tells your immune system to attack. Your liver gets caught in the crossfire. Curcumin stops this by blocking the inflammatory signals at the source. It targets NF-kappa B, the protein that flips the switch on inflammation. No switch flip, no cascade. This is why it works when basic anti-inflammatories fail. NSAIDs numb the pain. Curcumin prevents the decision to inflame in the first place. Your immune system never gets the signal to keep going. Acute inflammation is how your body heals. Chronic inflammation is how your body destroys itself slowly. Curcumin doesn't suppress the system. It stops the chronic signal that was never supposed to stay on. Absorption is the limiting factor. Your body processes it and moves it out before it can do anything. Add piperine, black pepper extract, and absorption jumps, allowing it actually to circulate and do its job. Dead liver cells don't care about curcumin, but if your immune system is actively damaging tissue, curcumin can interrupt that cycle before more damage stacks up. That's why it pairs so well with supplements that handle other problems: oxidation, bile flow, and fat mobilization. None of that matters if the fat can't actually leave. Now let's work on moving the fat that's already stuck inside. Choline. Your liver isn't just a filter, it's a shipping center. And when one key nutrient is low, nothing gets sent out. Fat doesn't just burn off on its own. Your liver has to package it up and export it through the bloodstream. That process requires choline. Without enough of it, fat stalls inside your liver cells instead of leaving. That's not a slow buildup, it's a bottleneck. Fat accumulates not because your liver is damaged, but because the export system ran out of what it needs to function. Choline is what builds VLDL particles, the vehicles your liver uses to ship fat out. No choline, no vehicles, fat stays. Over time, that stalled fat is what drives early-stage fatty liver. This is why choline deficiency and fatty liver are directly linked in research. It's not a coincidence, it's a direct cause and effect relationship. Remove the packaging material, and the shipment never leaves. Most people don't get enough from diet alone. Eggs are the best whole food source, but intake rarely hits what the liver actually needs under load, especially if you're eating a high-fat diet, drinking regularly, or already dealing with early fat accumulation. That's when the gap between what you're eating and what your liver needs becomes a problem you can actually feel, but your bile can turn against you if it's not moving right. TUDCA. Not all liver damage comes from external toxins. Some of it comes from your own bile turning against you. Bile is your liver's cleanup system. It binds to toxins, metabolic waste, and excess cholesterol, then carries them out through your digestive tract. But under stress, bile changes, becomes more concentrated, more irritating, and starts damaging the cells it touches. When that happens, it doesn't just fail to clear waste. It actively injures the liver from the inside. Cells get stressed, inflammation rises, damage compounds. TUDCA is a bile acid your body already produces in small amounts. When you supplement it, it changes the composition of your bile, shifting it toward a less toxic, more stable form. That shift reduces the chemical pressure bile puts on liver cell membranes, which is where the damage starts. It also helps liver cells handle that stress instead of breaking down under it. So instead of your liver dealing with both external toxins and its own bile, you remove one of the main sources of internal damage. This isn't about moving things faster. It's about making the system safer so damage stops stacking. TUDCA makes bile less damaging, but it doesn't deal with what's already sitting in the liver. Once fat builds up, the problem shifts from flow to oxidation, and that's where vitamin E takes over. Vitamin E. Fatty liver damage doesn't look dramatic. It's slow oxidation eating away at cells. This is where that gets stopped. Fat builds up in your liver. That's what shows up on scans, but the real damage isn't the fat, it's what happens to it. It oxidizes. Free radicals attack those fat molecules inside your cell membranes, breaking them down from within. Vitamin E works at that exact point. It's fat-soluble, so it embeds directly into your cell membranes. The same place oxidation starts. Most antioxidants work outside the cell. Vitamin E sits inside it, blocking the chain reaction before it spreads. That matters because oxidation cascades. One damaged membrane makes the next one easier to break. Damage compounds until the function starts to drop. Vitamin E stops that early. One protected membrane stays intact, and the chain reaction never spreads. Synthetic vitamin E doesn't stay in tissue long enough to do much. Mixed tocopherols, the form your body actually uses, are what make the difference. Vitamin E stops damage from spreading, but it doesn't touch what's driving it. When the signal-controlling blood sugar breaks, the liver starts making the problem worse. And that's where berberine takes over. Berberine. You don't suddenly get blood sugar problems. You've been building them for years without noticing. This is where the liver starts catching up. Your liver helps control blood sugar, storing excess glucose and releasing it when needed. But when insulin signaling breaks down, that system misfires. Your liver keeps releasing glucose even when levels are already high, pushing things further off track. Berberine targets that directly. It activates AMPK, a metabolic switch that tells your liver to slow glucose output and respond to insulin again. Flip that switch and the signal starts correcting. That matters because high blood sugar damages liver cells quietly over time, similar to oxidation, and it feeds fat buildup. Fatty liver and insulin resistance reinforce each other. Berberine interrupts that loop at the source, not by forcing glucose down, but by correcting the signal that was off. That's why it's often compared to metformin for blood sugar control, because it works on the same underlying pathway. Milk thistle. You can't supplement your way out of a liver that's destroying itself from the inside. The liver can regenerate, but only if repair isn't outpaced by damage. Milk thistle is one of the few compounds that reinforces that defense while it's trying to rebuild. The active compound is silymarin. It works on two levels, slowing cell damage while signaling liver cells to regenerate faster. That combination matters because most liver stress is cumulative, small damage stacking daily faster than the liver can repair it. Silymarin does this by stabilizing cell membranes so toxins can't penetrate as easily. It also blocks the enzymes that break down liver tissue during inflammation. Less penetration, less breakdown, more time for repair to catch up. It also acts as an antioxidant inside liver cells, reducing oxidative stress at the membrane level and blocking the inflammatory signals that accelerate tissue breakdown. That's the same layer vitamin E works on, but silymarin gets there through a different mechanism, which is why they stack without redundancy. The result isn't dramatic. It doesn't reverse cirrhosis or undo years of damage overnight. It shifts the balance, so repair starts gaining on damage instead of falling further behind. Not a cure, a stabilizer that gives your liver the conditions it needs to do what it's already trying to do. Artichoke. Your liver isn't just a filter, it's an exit system. When that slows, waste doesn't leave, it builds. Artichoke forces that system to move. Bile is the mechanism. Your liver produces it to bind waste, excess cholesterol, and metabolic byproducts, then push them out through your digestive system. But under stress, output drops. The exit slows. What should leave starts accumulating. Artichoke extract is a choleretic. It stimulates your liver to produce more bile. More bile means more capacity to clear what's building up. It also acts as an antioxidant inside liver tissue, reducing the oxidative stress that builds when the system slows. That gives you two effects at once: more output and less damage while output was low. This is different from TUDCA. TUDCA stabilizes bile, so it's less toxic. Artichoke increases how much bile your liver produces. One improves quality, the other drives volume. Together, they cover the full bile system, which is why they often appear in the same liver stacks. Omega-3. Your liver can handle a little fat. Keep adding more, and it turns from a workspace into a storage closet. Fat buildup isn't just about intake, it's about processing speed. When intake outpaces metabolism, fat accumulates inside liver cells. Over time, that buildup triggers inflammation. Inflammation leads to scarring. That's where the function starts to drop. Omega-3s work on both sides of that. They reduce fat synthesis in the liver, so less gets made. And they increase fat oxidation, so more of what's there gets burned instead of stored. They also suppress the inflammatory signals triggered by fat buildup. That matters because inflammation is what pushes simple fatty liver into something more serious. Form matters. EPA and DHA, the types found in fish oil, drive these effects. ALA from plant sources converts poorly and doesn't reach the same impact. This isn't just about heart health, it's about keeping your liver from turning into storage it can't clear. Liver Stack. One supplement helps. The right stack covers the full system your liver runs on. Each compound targets a different failure point. NAC restores the raw material your liver uses to neutralize toxins. Curcumin cuts the inflammatory signal before it cascades. TUDCA stabilizes bile so it stops damage from the inside. Vitamin E blocks oxidation at the cell membrane. Berberine corrects the metabolic misfire driving fat buildup. Choline keeps fat moving out instead of stalling inside. Milk thistle shifts the balance so that repair gains on damage. Artichoke increases bile output so waste actually exits. Omega-3s reduce how much fat accumulates and suppress the inflammation it triggers. None of these overlap. Each one covers a gap that the others don't. That's what a real stack looks like. Not 10 versions of the same effect, but multiple mechanisms working at the same time. Because liver problems don't come from one direction. They build from overload, inflammation, bile stress, and metabolic dysfunction, all stacking quietly. Your liver doesn't fail all at once. It falls behind piece by piece. The right stack keeps those systems from slipping at the same time, so nothing builds long enough to turn into something bigger. Your liver isn't failing all at once. It's falling behind, piece by piece. Now you know what actually moves the needle. Stick around for the next video.